So, this is that time of the year. Most of us are filled with hope, looking forward for the new things coming up in this 2025. So, how to set goals? Many of us will be having a lot of resolutions which we want to achieve this year. Before we begin, let me tell you a data. 83% of people never set goal or any kind of resolutions. They just live as it is. Only 20% of people set goals, and out of the 20%, only 3% actually achieve their goals. These 3% people are those who have written their goals much ahead and have followed, taken steps every single day in order to achieve these goals. So, it is important to set goals, important to pursue that goal, and then achieve these goals. How to do this? When we were young, we used to think that there is some magic that is going to happen during New Year. But once we grow up, we know that there is no magic in New Year, but it is very important to understand that this is the time to understand, reflect, and restart whatever we have done so far. If you are someone who is looking forward to set a goal, let me tell you how. Many of us, when we think about a goal, a resolution, immediately we think about our life's vision and set a very big goal, a huge goal, which we find it very difficult to understand, accept for ourselves, and then how are we going to do it? So it is not okay. So it is always better not to have a huge goal, also a small goal, better to have a mid-sized goal, which you can relate and which you can produce this year. What are all the areas we can consider when we set goals? It is always better to set goals for both our professional and personal lives. For example, if we have to set a goal for our personal life, we can set it around our health. It can be physical health, our mental health, spiritual health, then our relationships. That relationship can be with our partner or with our children. And then for our personal growth, we can set goals regarding our skill development, our growth, and then income. Many of us are very good in this step. In fact, there is a magical formula in that I have already explained the first step. Plan, track, own. So, how to track it? Is it even important to track it? Many of us set goal and we forget that goal even by the end of February, and for few, they forget in the second week of January. So, it is not just about thinking some big goals and thinking that we are going to do much bigger things this year. It's very important about how we are going to divide these goals into sub goals, some small milestones, and how we are actually going to make it happen for ourselves. So, how to track this? Let's assume that you have set a goal that you want to achieve 10 lakh per annum income this year. So, instead of just thinking that by the end of the year you are going to make the 10 lakh income, what we have to do is come up with 5 top action items, things that can actually lead us to this goal. It can be the time you are taking for your skill development. It can be about the kind of network you build. It can be about the kind of personal brand which you are building for yourself. It can be anything. List down top 5 activities which you have to do every single day that can make this goal a reality. Also, it is important to think about the milestones. Set a milestone, some 12 milestones. What is that you are going to reach in the month of January? What is that you are going to reach in the month of February? Like that, we have to set some smaller milestones so that we can ultimately reach our bigger goal. Initially, in the first few months, it will not be easy. It will be very hard to do these 5 action items which I have mentioned. But irrespective of how difficult it is, irrespective of how inconvenient it is, we still have to pursue it. Let's forget about the results for some time. Let's focus only on the process. Let's understand the process, enjoy the process, and do really, really well. Only then this process can bring the actual result. Many times we think about our goals, immediately we think about some larger framework, some larger timeline. Instead of thinking it is important to think big, but it is also important to think small. Though your goal is very big, think what we can do today to make it much better. What is that 1% improvement which we can bring today so that it will ultimately build the momentum which can bring the actual result, whatever we are looking for. So the magic formula is not just setting the goal or writing the goal. Rather, it is that 1% improvement which we do. Rather, it is the clarity of things which we are trying to accomplish on a daily basis and the momentum we gain through this process. This momentum is the ultimate magic which can actually bring the results. And finally, own. Irrespective of how clear we are about our goals, how many times we have written, after all, we are humans. We tend to miss on some days. We may not have the same kind of motivation with which we have started. So it is very important to understand and reflect and accept the flaws which we face during the process and get back on track as soon as possible. Most of us get into this guilt phase wherein we will sit and think and feel guilty forever instead of actually taking the action. So instead of doing that, if we feel that we haven't achieved that particular milestone in that particular month, instead of wasting the next 2 months, sit, talk to your friend or your mentor, understand where you lacked, understand what are all the things we have missed, and then get back on track as soon as possible. Accept your shortcomings, own it, and move forward. That's the only way to make all your resolutions a reality this year.